All right, guys. So we are in lesson 5, the last lesson in unit 4. So this is the lesson that is dealing with building professional skills. And the professional skills we're talking about are legal and ethical responsibilities. Um, so ethics is basically what you see as right or wrong. You're conscious. So some ethical things that you may have to do in legally in agriculture. So ag is governed just like all industries by laws and regulations from local all the way to the national levels. We have the USDA, which is the United States Department of Agriculture, and they set the standards at the national level. So these are the guys that they set like how we run our slaughterhouses, all the regulations that need to be done. And there are a lot of regulations that need to be done, a lot of things put in place for animal welfare and animal rights and harvesting rights. And then the states are free to create their own policies. So there's lots of local ordinances as well, maybe depending on your city or county. So it may be like how many livestock, how many goats you can run on your property, especially if you live in an urban area. A lot of people have like HOAs that they may have to have. That's even more local. They may have a regulation on what kind of pets you can have or what kind of, like, you can't have chickens. You can't have backyard chickens or goats or livestock. So these are all different types of regulations. So these laws are important. They exist for animals and the ag industry to protect both. States want to make sure that animals living within the borders are healthy and safe, and they don't want them to spread diseases to other animals. So, regardless of where farmers stand on animal rights, they have to provide certain standard of care. So, they have the legal and ethical obligations. If they don't, they can be reprimanded and go to jail. So, there are laws for this reason to hold people accountable. So both industry standards and laws require that animals be properly fed, have access to water, and that they're held to standards of cleanliness. So there's different debates on what's humane, but there are laws in place. So one of the laws, and we talked about it last lesson, is the battery cages. Those are the small cages that they put chickens in, egg-laying chickens. They are legal in some states, which means they can provide an acceptable level of care for chickens in those states. Individual farmers and voters might disagree. As long as someone raising broiler chickens in battery cages was properly feeding them, providing water, and keeping them free of disease and harm, that treatment was ethical because it met industry standards. Some may say, well, it's ethical because I'm following the law. That's okay. So that's the question um, there. So ethical and professional responsibilities in ag are not just about animals. All businesses, you have to follow ethical behavior and follow proper policies. So, ethical behavior in the workplace is honesty, even whenever the truth has negative consequences when you could get in trouble or get your friend in trouble. It's doing the right thing, is what having good ethics is, especially when nobody's watching. So, if water has been used to clean cages and it contains the fecal matter and it gets in the animal feed, it needs to get thrown away. Okay, no boss wants to hear about this kind of mistake because that's a lot of money that you're throwing away. However, the worst consequence was you could give coccidiosis to those animals and disease, and you could eventually contaminate human food sources. So that's why ethics and integrity are so important because it does not just affect you. Confidentiality is another important value. It's illegal for employers to share personal information about their employees. Medical information is very sensitive. If an employee is to disclose an illness to their employer, that employer can't tell anybody else about it. So you should have a built-in trust, and it's legal. And that boss, if they violate that trust, they could have fines or go to jail. Best way to ensure an ethical workplace is to have an organizational culture that values ethics. So that's the mood or climate of a company or business. So a company might choose to have a casual dress policy, and that affects the tone of the workplace very differently than someone that requires you to wear a suit. So values set the tone for the workplace. If management doesn't care that employees frequently come in late or take extended lunch breaks, it's likely that it's going to continue to happen. That can create really dangerous organizational culture. So this is why we have rules in place and why you need to follow these rules. So another area where ethics is important is the use of copyright and intellectual property. So that's an idea or concept with value in the marketplace. If an agri-scientist develops a new formula for pig feed, they need to know that other people aren't going to use it without properly crediting the scientist. So giving whoever came up with it credit. And that goes along with plagiarism. So failing to do so is plagiarism. That's stealing another person's ideas. If you are cheating on your assignments and you Google and you use all chat AI, chat GBT, that is plagiarizing. And you can go to jail for plagiarizing. It's an offense. So knowing and following ethical and legal responsibilities of your job are important obligations for any field, including agriscience. Then you've got some knowledge questions to do. And then let's talk about your final activity. So activity 3. So this one's dealing with ethics and agriscience. You just need like a Google Doc. So you're going to research. Ethics is an important part of agriscience. You're going to find news stories about unethical behavior related to agriscience, particularly animal care. Find one news article that you like, that you can find as much information as you can on it, and you're going to tell me a summary about that. Tell me about what that situation happened. So in your paper, I want you to include the article, and then tell me your summary, 1 to 2 pages. Just summarize the important events. Tell me the details about the evidence that was found related to unethical behavior. Then discuss what could have happened to prevent this. So this could be maybe mishandling deceased animals. Maybe they put them somewhere and they leaked into someone's water. I mean, I've heard of that. That's happened. It could be not feeding the animals properly, not giving them enough room. There's all kinds of different things that you can find. So research that, put it in a document, summarize it, make sure to include the article, and you should be good.